Um, Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah Ta'ala, we finished this verse last year. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي Adam. And when your Lord brought forth from the children of Adam alayhi salam, that is from their back, their progeny, and made them testify about themselves. Am I not your Lord? They said, of course you are. We affirm, lest you should say on the day, we are ignorant of this. So Allah Ta'ala, remember briefly, what we discussed was this, that Allah Ta'ala, what He had done is, before Insan even came to the dunya, right? Allah Ta'ala, from the back of Adam alayhi salam, some ulama say this happened after Adam alayhi salam came into the dunya. Some ulama say no, before he came to the dunya, whatever it was. But the main thing is Insan hadn't come to dunya as yet. Insan was still in Alami Arwah or Alami Alast. They were removed from the back of Adam alayhi salam and they pledged to Allah Ta'ala that, look, Ya Allah Ta'ala, when we come to this dunya, we will not worship anybody besides you. Ya Allah, we will only worship you. So that pledge that we took to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this dunya, we are supposed to be living by that pledge that we live in this dunya and we worship only Allah Ta'ala. We don't worship anybody else. So our whole life, like, when you you enter the madrasa or you enter the university or you enter the college or anywhere, right? There's a set of laws there, right? You agree that, okay, I'm going to enter this university, I'm going to enter the school, or maybe you want to live in a particular complex or you want to live in a particular block of flats or something like that. So they'll tell you, look, you have to sign this. These are the laws here. You can stay in this flat, whatever, but you can come to this madrasa, etc. But this is the laws that you have to abide by. As long as you abide by these laws here, you can stay here comfortably, happily in this flat, right? So same thing. Allah Ta'ala said, I'm going to send you to the dunya, but this is your condition. You have to worship me, right? Right? You can't worship anybody else, right? من بني آدم من الظلم أشهد ألست برحمة ألست I am not your Rob. You have to worship me. You can't worship anybody else. So that is the covenant. That is the agreement we gave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So we're supposed to be, and why we done this? So that you can't say afterwards, قالوا أن تقولوا يوم القيامة قيامة day. Look here, we forgot about this because all the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wa taslim, they came to this dunya and they reminded us about this, right? أو تقولوا, or you can't say now, look here, like how you say, I came to the madrasa, I saw everybody else was coming late, I saw everybody else was staying absent. I saw everybody else was not doing their work, so I did the same thing. Or I came to the complex and I saw everybody else was parking all over the show. They're not parking in the designated place, so I also done the same thing. No, 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 no. That you have to follow the Oh no, our fathers, they worship Hanuman, they worship Jesus, they accepted Jesus as the son of Allah Ta'ala, etc., etc. So now we're going to do the same thing. No, you can't do that. You are bound by your covenant. You can't say, Innama ashraka aba'una min qablu. Well, our forefathers were doing this. They used to worship other deities, so we done the same thing. No, no. That's not an excuse for seeing other people doing something. That's not an excuse for you to do the same thing. That is not an excuse for you to do. You are bound by your covenant. So that is the reason the Anbiya. So when you were born on the natural fitrah. You were born on that natural fitrah that Allah Ta'ala is one. Right? And all the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wa taslim, they came and they reminded you, right? So that was the crux, the essence of the last hadith, or rather the last verse. A lot of detail, a lot of explanation. Allah Ta'ala accept it from us, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we're going to start with a new interesting verse today. Inshallah, who's going to read Luqman? I have the honors, inshallah. Bismillah. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَا وَاتْلُ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَا وَآيَاتِنَا. Relate to them the information of the ones الذي, or the one آتَيْنَا, who we gave him, right? آتَيْنَا, our signs. But despite that, فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا, right? And rewriting in the story of the one, we gave him our verses. Others, we empowered him with knowledge, with nur and nubuwwat, right? Not knowledge of the dunya. Then he wriggled himself out from them, so that Satan overtook him and he became one of the perverted persons. So you can say, like, he exonerated himself. Fansalaha mina, I say, then he wriggled himself. We'll do a bit more of this. In other words, he, like, exonerated himself from this knowledge. He say, no, I'm a normal human being, etc. And then when he wriggled himself out of this, right? So Satan overtook him. Fakana min al-ghawin, and he was from the misguided ones. So the above verses, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. This is a nice verse. If you listen to it nicely, inshallah, you can actually give a whole bayan on this. You can one day, you must have you must have your 4 5 ready bayans. That when you called on the kaf, Mulana, there's nobody to give Juma here today. Can you give the Juma? Maaf, man, I'm a bit sick today, my throat is a bit, my toe is a bit sore. I popped my toe yesterday. I can't give a bayan. Are you giving bayan with your toe or what? Right? That is when you don't prepare. But if you got 4 5 bayans, you prepared it, you got it. That's why we tell you here. That's why we have what we have here. We have your anjuman, so you must learn to speak. Give 5 bayans, 4 bayans, like one on. Good, I'll give you a good tip now. Have one bayan on fasting on Ramadan, you know it properly. Have one bayan on Hajj, know it properly. Have one bayan on Qurbani, know it properly. Or have one bayan on Udhiyah, Qurbani, know it properly. Have one bayan on the virtue of knowledge. Have one bayan on Muharram, 5 6 bayans. You keep that, you know it. Standard bayan. You'll never be in a fix. You'll never be in a fix. You have one bayan on Taqwa. You have 6 bayans. Anytime anybody call you, inshallah, then your toe don't have to be sore, your nose don't have to be running, right? So that's a good tip I give you. Try to do that, inshallah. Have your 5 6 bayans, especially if you're going to take up a position as an imam, inshallah. One day, Allah Ta'ala use you for deen, inshallah. Then you sort it out, right? So the above verses have described the story of a religious leader of the Israelites with a great following for his piety. So in the bygone areas, in the previous Ummah Sabiqa, from amongst the Bani Israel, there was a person who was very, very pious and he had a great following. But suddenly he went astray and became amongst the rejected. Right? So there, what you see, no matter who you are, there are so many stories of people that were considered ulama, they were considered great people, they had great followings, but Allah Ta'ala overnight changed them. Allah Ta'ala overnight, he changed them, right? They had a great following for his piety, but suddenly went astray and became among the rejected. This event contains a number of lessons and points of exhortation, and there is a link with the preceding verses. The foregoing verse spoke of the covenant made by Allah Ta'ala with the children of Adam. I told you the previous verse speaks about the covenant with the people, the covenant made by Allah Ta'ala with Adam in general and with certain people in various circumstances. Now, the above verse also makes mention of those people who would not fulfill the pledge with Allah Ta'ala. Like I told you, we made the agreement of Allah Ta'ala. We made the agreement that we will come to this dunya. We live by the divine code, etc., etc. So this hadith is actually, you can say, it is a fara'. It springs forth. It is an example of those people who, having made the covenant with Allah Ta'ala, despite they giving the covenant, they never live up to that code, right? So the foregoing verses spoke of the covenant made with Allah and with the children of Adam in general, and with certain people in various circumstances. The above verses also make a mention of those people who do not fulfill the pledge with Allah. For example, the Israelites were awaiting the arrival of a prophet and used to describe his attributes, but after the Holy Prophet made his appearance, they rejected him just for worldly considerations. Another example of this is the Bani Israel. They took the pledge in Alam Alast. And even they took the pledge to Musa alayhi salam that when the final prophet will come, remember, الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذي يجدون مكتوبا إن في التوراة والإنجيل يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم عن المنكر. But when the prophet made his appearance, when the prophet made his advent, they didn't accept, right? So this is now like another story of that person that never lived up, like the person who entered the madrasa, the person who entered the complex, the person who entered the estate. He's living in the estate, but he did not adhere to the rules because he saw everybody disobeying the rules, and he also wanted to disobey the rules, which is not an excuse, right? So the story of Balaam bin Ba'ura, the present verses have related the story of a saintly person among the Israelites. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has been asked to write the story to people to show how a devoted scholar and great spiritual leader was deprived of all the knowledge, wisdom, popularity, and fame by only following the mundane desires. So this hadith, or rather this verse, is a great lesson that no matter who you are, you can be mufti, you can be sheikh, you can be maulana, you can be teacher of Bukhari Sharif, you can be teacher of Mishkat Sharif, no matter what you are, right? You have to be especially careful of following your mundane, your base desires, because that is the starting point of your downfall. You understood that? So this was a lesson in that. We did not find any person identification or the name of this person mentioned in the Holy Quran. However, many traditions reported by the exegetes of the Holy Quran and companions and the disciples giving a variety of information about him. The most authentic and trusted by the majority of the scholars is the tradition by a report by Ibn Marduwaya on the authority of the companion Abdullah ibn Abbas, which is as follows. So what he's saying here, Mufti Sahib is saying, look here, the Quran doesn't say exactly. It just says, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ. The Quran is leaving it ambiguous. Narrate, O Muhammad, narrate to them the story of that one person, right? So the Quran doesn't specify who he is. Now, if you look at the riwayat, there are many, many different riwayat. And I told you one is the Israeli riwayat that has been narrated by the previous scholars, the Jew scholars, the Christian scholars. And I told you, their narrations, as long as it doesn't go against the Quran, we can narrate it, but we don't take it as gospel. We don't say 100%. لا نصدق ولا نكذب. So we can say it from Israeli, right? It appears that the person that Allah Ta'ala is speaking about is Balaam bin Ba'ura, right? Although here is, so the most authentic explanation or details we find in the hadith is there was a name by the name of Balaam bin Ba'ura. He belonged in Syria, living in Canaan near Jerusalem. So remember, this was the epicenter of religiosity in past days, right? Europe people were steeped in ignorance. They were still running around in loincloths. This was the concentration of where all the Anbiya alayhi salatu wa taslim was. Europe, UK, you had all those, the what you say, those other people, the Vikings in Norway and all. They had no deen in him, right? So religion was here. According to a report, he was an Israelite by birth. So he was like a Jew from the seven tribes. He had knowledge of certain books revealed by Allah Ta'ala. The Quranic phrase, الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا, the one whom we gave him our verses, refer to the same knowledge. We gave him our verses. What does that mean? We empowered him with knowledge. So what does this show you? That having knowledge of the Quran, having knowledge of the Hadith is not a license. Is not a license to drop your guard. It is not a license to become negligent, no matter who you are. That's why they say also in Urdu, they say, Hati kabhi bhi pisal jate. Hati, big. Elephant is a strong animal, is a sturdy animal, but sometimes the elephant also slips. There's also in Arabic, you say, Likulli jawadin kabwatun. For every thoroughbred horse also, there is a slip. Sometimes he slips. So despite having the knowledge, right, of Quran, etc., he made a mistake. Okay, Amlana Zim is here. We stop there. Just remember, we still got the English. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah. Ne? Just remember, we introduce the story. Personality is Mishkat. Number 2, with Mu'ana Zim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Alhamdulillah, the link is working very nice. Jazakallah to Lukman Ismail that went out today. Where after hours setting it up, Allah Ta'ala reward him. Inshallah, all the reward also of the online lessons will also go to them for the effort, inshallah. Subhanallah.